Gen Z can't afford rent. So how are we expected to save? It might be time to get a roommate. If you're Gen Z is what? 20s? I don't think they're hitting 30s yet. So there's nothing wrong with a roommate. Like other Gen Zers, I'm rent poor with student loan debt, so I struggle to put aside extra cash after covering my bills and expenses. Ironically, I also love writing about how to save money. Some 32% of Gen Zers spend more than half of their monthly income on housing alone, according to Credit Karma. I think that rent is very expensive everywhere, and it's unfortunate. This inflation sucks, and the people who are going to feel it the most are the younger people, right? Because they're just entering into the workforce. 6 ways to save when rent is weighing you down. I thought you said you couldn't afford rent. Can't afford rent. How are we expected to save then? Okay, whatever. Let's just go along with it. Median rent, 2-bedroom apartment in Austin, Texas, 1,700 for 2 bedrooms. I mean, now that's cheaper than a lot of places. I'm sure people in the comments here are going to say, dude, a 2-bedroom apartment at my city, like Los Angeles, San Francisco, whatever, those expensive places, way more than that, for sure. But anyway, number 1, start a side hustle. Yeah, a side hustle is great. I started dog sitting for family members over the holidays to make extra money, and I turned it into a legit side hustle. I make between $200 and $1,000 a month, and I found all my dog sitting clients through word of mouth. There's also a website, Rover. Yes, I've heard of Rover, where people can dog sit or pet sit. You know, it doesn't have to be a dog; it could be a cat, whatever. I have a friend who does that. Who, funny enough, lives in Austin. I believe he pays most of his mortgage payment through Rover, and his actual job is his expendable income. Of course, he bought his house before all this crazy pandemic and interest rates and whatnot, so his house was more affordable then. But I digress. A side hustle, it doesn't have to be dog sitting, it can be anything. Just come up with something. It's really good entrepreneurial skills that you can develop, especially at a younger age. This way you don't have to depend on employers so much, you know? It can be anything, like maybe a small business that needs help with social media. Gen Z knows social media very well. Maybe you can be like, hey man, I could charge you, I don't know, like $25 a post. Takes you what? Maybe it takes you an hour to make a post for a company. So yeah, that should be fair, more or less in that area. But I mean, you get the picture. Like, just side hustle. Come up with something. Put your skills to work. Maybe it's doing small IT services for old people. You know, because old people have a strong time connecting their printer to their computers and things like that. I know some kids make flyers and put around those 55 plus communities, say call me if you need help, and he has a business doing that. My neighbor across the street, their kid has their own car detailing company where they'll just drive to your house, clean your car inside and out really well. What do you need? Just your own car plus cleaning material and a vacuum, right? And a way to get power, which I'm sure you could use at the customer's location. But yeah, I mean, you could just think of something. Like, act as if you're about to get laid off tomorrow. How are you going to make money? And as if benefits don't exist. Number 2, find a roommate. Yeah, like if you're young, especially in your early 20s, why would you not have a roommate? Most young people, like their young 20s, maybe mid 20s, later 20s, you're going to be broke. You're not going to be making a lot of money. That's most of you. So a roommate should be the norm, having a roommate. And plus, it helps with social skills and stuff like that. Because there's things you learn from roommates. You learn about other people and how they live. You learn what to do, what not to do. You might learn from each other. One person might not know how to do laundry. There's a lot of kids who don't know how to do laundry, and the other one does, helps each other out. One doesn't know how to clean a kitchen very well or set a better standard. But there's also crappy roommates, but you also learn from them. Don't get involved with people like that. You understand red flags. But anyway, a roommate is a must. 1, 2, whatever helps with the rent. Writer says, you're probably thinking, duh. Yeah, of course. But having a roommate saves you money on rent and shared expenses like internet and utilities. Yeah, I mean, goes without saying. It's a good idea. Negotiate your rent. Okay, this has to be interesting. Imagine living in an apartment complex owned by a corporation, and you walk into their guest services office and be like, I want to negotiate my rent. When your lease ends and your landlord sends you a rent increase notice, did you know you could negotiate it? Sure, good luck. Honestly, good luck. What are the chances that you'll get it your way? Probably slim. He'll find another tenant who is willing to move in next day and pay more. It is easy to accept the change and move on. However, taking the time to build your case as a responsible tenant might pay off. Maybe. I don't know. Because as a landlord, it is really nice to have good tenants. People who don't trash the place, who are always on time with their bills. You might just say, you know what, I'm not going to raise rent. I want you to stay. I get it. But if they come back saying, oh, can you decrease the rent? I mean, as the landlord, like, how much is that important to you? Or you can easily say, sorry, no deal. I'll find someone else who can do it. I'll take my chances. It's all about risk anyway, right? Find a short-term sublet. If you live alone or with a partner, find a short-term sublet to bring in a little extra money. That's like trying to Airbnb a place you're already renting. There's a lot of places where you rent that have a clause that says you cannot short-term sublet, cannot have Airbnb, cannot have VRBO or Verbro, forgot what it's called, that you can't do it. Most places say you can't. There's very few places of landlords who will let you do it, but I don't know any. I've heard so many people get kicked out and evicted from their places because they had a short-term sublet. But try to communicate it. Might not work. It's really hard to operate an Airbnb, by the way. I've done it before. It's not that fun. Number 5, rent out your parking spot. If you're like me and you don't have a car, I drive a moped, a parking space doesn't mean much to you. Honestly, I've seen this before and it works out. If you live in an apartment complex and you have a parking spot, and if you could really not need it, you could rent that out. That could bring in a few $100s a month. Help you out with rent or whatever else you need that you can't really afford, right? That's a good idea. I've seen people do that plenty of times. Especially if you're willing to use a bicycle, moped, whatever. The only thing that sucks, though, is groceries. You can only have 1 or 2 bags of groceries each trip. You can't just have like weeks full of groceries with you. But you know, if you're just in your early life, this is what it takes to save money and start building wealth. Number 6, it's probably the last one. Do building maintenance for reduced rent. Depending on the terms of your lease, certain maintenance responsibilities might fall on you, such as replacing the air filter, mowing the lawn, or fixing a leaky faucet. It's worth asking your landlord if you can take an additional building task for reduced rent. Maintaining a garden, taking out the trash. Actually, I had an ex-girlfriend in Hawaii who did this. She, just because there's a lot of rental homes in Hawaii, and a lot of them are empty, but someone will say, hey, you could live in this house as long as you take care of it. She at the time, I think she was paying like $500 to live in Hawaii. However, her terms were not like you're a tenant. Her terms were like you are an employee. Yes, you're paying me $500 a month, but that goes towards the living expenses, the rent. But because they are an employee, it gives more right to the employer to show frustration if the place is not being taken care of, because there's a lot to the clause. Take care of the garden, mow the grass, keep the house clean, a lot of things like that. And it makes it easier for them to kick you out versus like if you're an official tenant with a landlord, then you have all these rights and whatnot. But there's places like this available where you can find an empty vacation home to take care of in Los Angeles, in Miami, a lot of the vacation places. However, a lot of these is word of mouth. Most of them are not like on Facebook Marketplace or something like that. But anyway, short, sweet video for today. I'm going to start my weekend. It's a 3-day weekend for me coming up. I got Monday off. I don't think I'm going to make a video. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment below, and subscribe if you made it this far. And other than that, take care. Have a good one. Bye.